praise you guys are having a good weekend, a great Sunday morning. We're going to give people time to get in here, and we'll be getting started in just a few minutes. You guys just bear with me for a few minutes. Give some time to log in. If you're already in here and you're settled, go ahead and hit like on this live if you don't mind. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't. Also, a reminder to set your notifications so that you'll get a notification whenever we go live. Just in case I forget to send you a text. Good morning, good morning. I see a few more people came in. Go ahead and drop some in the comments so I can see who you are. I want to acknowledge you. Good morning, Tay. I love you, sissy. Shandrika, what's going on, Drika? Good morning, Chris. Thank you guys for connecting. We're gonna just give it just a couple more minutes. People are still coming in. Join the live. We'll be getting started in just a couple more minutes. Thank you so much for your patience. Hope you guys have had a great weekend so far. I know here in the city we had a couple parades going on. Bishop, good morning. We had a couple parades going on in the city here. Hola, sissy, what's happening? Yeah, and so I didn't make any of the parades. I just got caught in some of the traffic, but I didn't go to any of the parades. We have some interesting things going on right now in the country. I don't know if you guys are keeping up with the national news, but the U.S. military shot down a spy balloon that was hovering over our country from China. It was shot down on yesterday, and now they're underway trying to recover what has been shot down and try to, I guess, research and see what type of data it was collecting. I love you, Morte. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to watch how that unfolds. China said that the U.S. overreacted in shooting down the spy balloon. It was just collecting data for weather patterns, and that Beijing may respond to our shooting down of their spy balloon. So I don't know how that's going to go. See, we had a few more people come in. Good morning to you all. And if you don't mind, go ahead and hit the like and button. And if you haven't already subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, you can turn your notifications on and you won't have to wait for a text message from me. Because usually when I send out the text message, I send it out a few minutes before I go live. And I notice that people come over right when they get the text, and it's still a few minutes before I go live. So if you turn your notification on, as soon as I hit live, then you'll receive the notification and you'll come in and won't have to wait. So yeah, don't forget to do that. Please, thank you guys so much for being consistent. I wanna say that you guys are consistent. You're meeting here with me every Sunday morning. I know we're doing things a little bit different from what we're all accustomed to traditionally as it relates to church, but I want to meet you guys where you are. You know, I've done the other side for many years, 20 plus years, And so now I believe that we're in a place where we need to sit down and have conversations and have things that we can relate to in life, our day to day lives. And so this is the reason why we've chosen this type of setting and our platform to have these discussions and equip you guys with tools that's going to help you through your day to day life and not just help you have a great service on Sunday, but we want to give you tools that's going to help you day to day. So I think I'm going to give it one more minute and about another 60 seconds. We're going to go ahead and get started. Those of you who just came in, if I haven't spoken to you, drop something in the comments. I want to acknowledge you. My coffee is so good this morning. Pastor Ransom, thank you so much. Good morning to you. I miss you so much. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started today. As I mentioned about the incident that was going on with the spy balloon with China, there's a lot of other things that are going on in our country, just tons of things. And this year has started out, I guess, for lack of better words, it is unique in its own way already. And so we have to reckon with what we're dealing with in this modern time that we're in. This time is so different from any other time. It's really hard to find a reference. You have a lot of people that are dealing with so many different things on so many different levels. There is not just this one thing that we must give attention to, or this one thing that we must address. There are multiple things going on as parents of Gen Z. You know, that's a whole nother something by itself. And not just singling out Gen Z, millennials and everybody has each generation has their things that they deal with. But I think it's more intense now, just because it's in the face of the public and everyone is almost at a standstill on what to do and how to address this. It's just a lot to process psychologically, because you have your own things that you're dealing with. Parents have their own things that they're dealing with, and sometimes it's complicated and hard to be there to assist your children when you have not been able to work out and work through the things that you deal with personally, some of the challenges that you're facing. And so we're all spread thin. And I noticed in the last, I guess it's been a couple months now, I've noticed that the anxiety of our society has begun to swell. The anxiety has begun to swell. And it's in addition to dealing with fear of certain things, it's addition to dealing with the depression that you may be battling. This anxiety is on top of what was already there coming out of our 2020 experience. We're coming out of that and we're still having to carry that and everything that was going on before then. And then on top of this, we're having to deal with some other things that we just don't have enough hands, for lack of better words. We don't have enough hands to deal with everything, and it's causing anxiety. And I wanna give you some tools today, and I want to identify what that anxiety is. I want to give you some tools that'll help you deal with this on a day to day life. So there's one passage of scripture that I'm going to take. Again, we use the scripture for principal reference, as we believe that it is helpful and it has been put together as a body of work so that we can be hopeful. The scripture says in Philippians chapter 4, verse number 6, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before. It says, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your request be made known unto God." Some of you may be reading it out of a different translation that will read, "Be anxious for nothing." And so what this passage is trying to get us, the principle is that we cannot allow our anxiety that we deal with cause us to approach God out of anxiety, to approach your requests from God, whether it be for His intervention, His direction, His insight, or just His favor. We cannot ask out of anxiety. And so, what anxiety is the sum total, and I want you guys to get this. Anxiety is the sum total of us thinking too much without taking enough action. It's whenever you think more than you're doing about the thought. Okay, so if you're overthinking your career, your next career move, but you're not doing anything in the direction of making that career move, or setting yourself in a position to do such, it becomes anxiety. It becomes anxiety. You become frustrated. You become overwhelmed because these thoughts are continuing to evolve, and thoughts evolve. Your thoughts continue to evolve, and without enough action, your thoughts will cause you to feel that the thing, the feature of the thought, or the topic of the thought, the subject of the thought, is getting further and further away from you, because the thought is evolving, but you yourself, you're not taking any action to move in the direction of that thought. And so, what we have to be careful to do is, whenever we're having these thoughts, we have to be careful to not just sit on a thought and allow it to play over and over and over again in the mind. We have to put ourselves in a position to where we're saying, okay, now this is the thought, and I'm gonna find an action to match this thought. So, but get this, whenever there's a thought and you don't have an action to match that thought, the best thing for you to do is to move from that thought, or not entertain that thought at that time. Listen, you can come back to any thought that you have. If you're thinking about something and something is pressing, and you're not in a position to take action, to move in the direction of that, it's best that you just allow that thought to rest. Just tuck it away and come back to it when you can take action. I was in a session on Friday evening, and one of my clients was dealing with some overwhelming stuff, and there was a bunch of anxiety there. And told her, I said, listen, this is what I want you to do for the next 2 days over the weekend. I want you to sit that down, everything, all of those thoughts, everything that you're carrying, everything that you're facing, sit it down, pick it back up Monday. It's going to be right where you left it. I promise you it is. But there's nothing you can do about it in the next 2 days. It's not going to be anything you could do about it. And so yesterday I received a text message from her just checking in. And she was like, I'm enjoying my day. I rested well. It wasn't all of the anxiety and the pressure that she had before. It's because she left those thoughts, because there was nothing she could do about it. She could have spent the entire weekend worrying about and wondering about what she's going to do, and or what she needs to do, but not having the ability to do anything. You couldn't make no phone calls over the weekend. Everybody shut down for the weekend. There's nothing you could do, nothing you could do, and except allow yourself to have so much anxiety until by the time Monday come, you're overwhelmed and you can't do anything. So what you have to do, what I'm saying to you, is be in a position, you guys, to or be of the mind, be of the mentality where you can sit your thoughts down somewhere. I remember growing up when we were doing too much, my mom used to say, get over there and sit down somewhere. If you don't sit down somewhere, and so you have to literally deal with your thoughts like that. You have to you have to take authority over the thoughts that have become controllers of your life. Some of us are controlled by our thoughts rather than our actions or decisions. See, because there's a difference between a thought and a decision. A decision is simply a thought that is settled. You settled it. And so, if you're thinking something about something or particular things that you're unable to settle now, don't allow it to become a controlling factor in your life. Don't allow it to control what type of day you have, what type of mood you're in, because all of these things have ripple effects. They will begin to affect other areas of your life. It will begin to affect you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It'll begin to even affect you physically if this thought is not managed by you. You are responsible for managing these thoughts, and the thoughts that are unruly, if it's just running crazy in your head and you cannot get away from it, what I would say to you is to find a space, a moment, a window of time where you can just pull away, put on music with no words. Music therapy is real. I use it all day, every day while I'm coaching. I have music, soundscapes playing in the background. That's not for my clients. That's for me, so that I could not, I will not become, I won't have anxiety attachments to what it is that I'm coaching people through. And that's what I do for me. And you have to find what works for you. I can recommend that to you, and because I know that it works. And so you do that. There are a lot of different rules. There's a 3 for 3 rule that they have that's been proven to help deal with anxiety. The 3 for 3 is something like you move your ankles, you move your fingers, and you move your arms. Just get motion in your body, get your body to moving. And so whenever you do that, you relieve some of the pressure that is building up as a result of the anxiety. And so this principle that we pulled out of the scripture today, it says, "Be anxious for nothing, be careful for nothing." In other words, don't allow your anxiety to lead you into or lead you through your relationship with God, right? And so he says, "But in everything by prayer, with thanksgiving and supplication, make your request be known unto God." Supplication is talking about your request, right? It's talking about your request, and it says make your request, and that it seems like it's saying the same thing over and over, but it's not. What it's saying is, when you make a request, make sure when you're coming before God to make a request, make sure that you identify the thing that you're requesting. So if you have anxiety about something, you may not necessarily think it through, because the anxiety is going to be like, okay, God, just do it. You know what I need. I need this much by this day. I need to have this in place by this time, or whatever it is. And you're asking God out of anxiety. And when you ask God out of anxiety and then something happens, you're like, oh, I didn't know that it was going to happen like that. I was behind on my car note, and I just wanted to pay my car note because I was tired of my car note. I didn't know that my car was going to get totaled out. God forbid, I'm just hypothetically speaking. But these things happen. These things happen whenever we are not putting ourselves in a position to be emotionally, intellectually sober when we are approaching God about certain things. Anxiety is almost like a silent killer of your emotional and psychological soberness. You're not Anxiety can cause you not to be sober, because out of anxiety, you can either shut all the way down or turn all the way up. And sometimes that is not the best mood. Anxiety make people go hard doing things that they really shouldn't do. And I'm not talking about just reckless stuff. I mean, anxiety will have you working three jobs, and no time for yourself, no time for your family or the people that love you. And you're doing it because you're doing it out of anxiety, and you will not necessarily have the fulfillment that you need, or you would think that you would get out of doing it, because you're moving emotionally, you're moving out of anxiety and frustration, and that builds tension. It affects your communication and the way that you communicate with others and even yourself. But you have to be able to believe in yourself that these things are going to work for you, that these tools are going to work for you, and you are the designer of how you work. You're going to design how you're going to work and how life's going to work for you. You do that, but you don't need to do it out of anxiety. Tensions are going to continue to build in our country and even in this world. It's been that way from the beginning. What we're dealing with is new to us, but at some other prior time in time, they dealt with things that were new to them, and they worked through it, and they lived through it, and some thrived, and some survived, but we all made it. And so what I'm saying to you, if in fact you are dealing with some things that are kind of overwhelming, and you have some anxiety about a couple of life plays that you're thinking about making, take your time. Take your time, pull back from it, sit it down for a minute. If you don't have the action to back it up, if you don't have a plan of action in place, sit it down, because if not, it's going to produce more anxiety. And the anxiety is going to slow you down. It's going to choke out your soberness, and you will be lost. You'll be lost in a thought by the thought. You'll be lost. You don't know what to do. Have you ever thought about something so much until you just didn't know what to do, because you're creating all these different scenarios that are holding you back, and you're not taking any action yourself on that thing? This is what the Lord is trying to give us hope from having to experience. You know, he doesn't want us to live through life with anxiety. And whenever we come to him in prayer about whatever it is, you really have to be patient, and you really have to be sober with yourself, so that you could speak soberly, think soberly, and act soberly. But if you don't allow yourself time to take action about certain thoughts, anxiety will kick in. It's just like when you know you have to do something first thing in the morning, and you go to bed with that on your mind. Sometimes you can think yourself into dreams about what you have to do the next day. How many times have you ever did that? Have anybody ever had that experience? It was something pressing that you needed to take care of, or something that you were looking forward to, and you thought about it all that night, and you end up going to sleep having a dream about it. That's the power of those thoughts. And that is how anxiety can trigger other areas of our lives. And so it's important that we deal with it. We have to deal with it. And we need to normalize, especially in the African American community, educating ourselves about how to cope with things like this. Because when we fail to cope with things like this, there are other things, byproducts There are other offsprings from these things that leak over into other areas of our lives, as it was with our parents. And some of you could probably look back over your childhood and see how certain anxieties that your parents dealt with, you didn't understand as a child, but now as an adult, you can look back and you're like, okay, this is the reason why mom was this way, or this is the reason why dad was this way, or grandma, whoever. You can look back and you can now see and say, no wonder she was like that. She had 8 kids and grandpa was never home. That's why she always fuss. And it sounds like she's fussing when she's talking, because she was always overwhelmed and she didn't know how to pull out and deal with her anxiety. And so that those things are things that we've all experienced, but we've never taken the time to understand them and to rewrite a prescription for our own lives so that we don't find ourselves in the same position. Now, here's the thing about the love of our Creator for His creation, all of us. The thing is that there is the will of the Creator for us to prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers. The Scripture says so. So God wants you to be in good health, and that includes good mental health. This is the reason why I'm talking about anxiety. I could talk about Joseph, but Joseph is not one of your problems today. I don't think it's anybody in any sanctuary across this country that is sitting up trying to figure out why Joseph had to go through everything that he went through. We could talk about that stuff. We could talk about Noah. We could talk about how didn't nobody help him and he had to build the ark by himself and all his homies wasn't there for him. And I feel just like Noah because didn't nobody help me and didn't nobody believe in me. We could do that. But the truth of the matter is, the anxiety that you're dealing with today has nothing to do with that. So, this is what we're talking about right now. And God is concerned, as He was with those guys, He is concerned about the anxiety that you're dealing with and some of the pressure that you're dealing with. And I want you to allow yourself to see Him beyond the book. I want you to allow yourself to experience Him beyond the book and know Him beyond the book and know Him in your day-to-day life, and that he is so for you. Like he will cause the entire world to shift so that things could work in your favor. And this is the reason why I'm here to inspire you, encourage you, equip you. Every single week, I want this to be a part of your weekly diet, because this is the will of our Creator, our Father. This is His will for us. So you keep striving in your business ventures and the companies that you're a part of, or the companies that you own, or the ones that you're creating. Keep being encouraged, and don't allow your thoughts to get away from you or get beyond you and create anxiety. Again, I'm going to say, sit them down somewhere. They're going to be right where you sit them. They're going to be there when you get back. Sit those thoughts down. You go and come, gather your faculties, find your center, find the center of who you are, and then start over again. After a few hours, after a couple days, after a few weeks, hey, you may have to take a couple of weeks. But you need to allow yourself to come out of the think tank of overthinking things that you are not coming up with an action for. If there's something pressing in your life and you're thinking about it, make sure that you slow your thought process down to give yourself enough time to come up with an action to address the thought. If you don't have an action to address the thought and you can't come up with what to do, leave that thing there for a minute so that you won't continue to operate out of anxiety. Because the worst thing you can do is make a decision out of anxiety, because most of the time we regret those decisions. And I'm sure that you have you've made some decisions in past times in your life out of anxiety, and only to come back and regret those decisions sometime later. I mean, you need a car, and so you just go and like, I don't care, I just need a car, I just need a car, and you end up going to get a car, and that thing becomes like a nightmare because it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not meeting the need. It didn't meet the need, but you made that decision because you were frustrated, and it was so much anxiety upon you at that time. So slow down, breathe, give yourself the opportunity to address the thoughts. Give yourself time to decide how you want to address it and then address it. You will be surprised at what all comes out of you if you give yourself a moment. If you give yourself a moment, you should never be panicked at the presence of a thought. Never allow a thought to cause you to go into panic. If the thought causes you to go into panic, I promise you, you're gonna have anxiety just moments later. Don't allow a thought to launch you or to push you into panic. You have time, and you have the wherewithal to figure it out, to work it out. You have all the potential you need to address the things that concern you. And so, regardless of what they're saying about the record number of layoffs that we're experiencing in our country and all of the different things that they're saying that will trigger 2023 recession, don't worry about that. You work out your stuff and you make sure that you giving yourself enough time to have a plan of action and keep doing what you do. And before you know it, you will have worked through all of the darkest times that has been predicted by some of the world's leading economists and other people. You will have worked your way and lived through it and survived and not even realize what everybody else was going through because you didn't allow yourself to become overwhelmed with it. And because you wasn't overwhelmed, you were able to pray to God in a sober mind, being able to identify the plan of action that you needed to take and ask for his assistance, help, or intervention in carrying out that plan of action. You have to ask it, but you don't want to do it out of anxiety. You don't want to do it out of anxiety. Sometimes we have certain people come to us and they're frustrated. And I got a call Friday night. It's a horrible situation, but the text message read, "I need for you to call me right now, 911." Well, it was a horrible situation, but I wasn't going to allow myself to be thrown into that panic. And I replied, "I'll give you a call within 5 or 10 minutes because I need them to come down out of that anxiety so that I could address it because I didn't want to speak to the anxiety. I wanted to speak to what the subject matter was." And so the thing is sometimes whenever you're trying to move forward and you're saying, "God help me, what's my next move?" And when you're in anxiety, God will give you time to settle down because he's not going to speak to your anxiety. He's going to speak to you because your anxiety can't do it. You have to do it. And you may have it, but that's not going to help. So that's why you give yourself time to come down out of it. And in a sober mind, a sober heart, sober spirit, you will be able to hear with a lot more clarity and see with a lot more clarity what it is you need to do and how it could be done. And that is how you move through those moments of anxiety without having to be overwhelmed or overtaken by it. And this goes for your professional life, your spiritual life. This goes for all of the relationships in your life, whether it's social relationships, marriages, romantic relationships, whatever it goes for. It goes for that too. You don't address problems in your marriage out of anxiety. Trust me, I know it doesn't work out well. Even with your children, as you're parenting your children, when you have anxiety, you don't need to try to parent them out of anxiety. And don't let them be grown. Oh my God, it's worse because they know everything that you know. And so, um, and I say that sarcastically, but that creates anxiety. And we end up not giving them the tools that they need or not offering the help that they need because we're drawn into what it is that they're going through. And so maybe you need to back off and give them a few minutes to gather their faculties or just advise that to them. That, hey, listen, this is what I want you to do. We're going to talk about this, but this is what I need you to do. And in doing so, you're able to come back and really give them what they need. That's all it is. And I want you guys to remember this moving forward. If you have anything that's pressing right now, go ahead and just apply this principle. Apply this principle. Sit it down for a minute. Gather your faculties. Find your center. And allow yourself time to come up with a plan of action. When you feel yourself, when you feel anxiety building up, I want you to just ask yourself, what's the plan of action? Why am I still here entertaining this thought? Just a thought, and I'm not even entertaining what I need to do about the thought. Ask yourself why, and then correct it. Correct it. After you ask yourself why, go ahead and correct it and say, this is what I'll do as it relates to this thing, this thought. And sometimes when I'm talking about anxiety, all the time, you guys, anxiety is not as a result of things going wrong in your life. Sometimes things can be going well and it can cause anxiety too. So to those of you who may be overwhelmed trying to, because you're like still leveling up and you're trying to figure out how to successfully continue this incline in life, sometimes you still need to sit it down for a minute. Give yourself time to come up with a plan of action. If things are moving in your favor, moving in the direction that you want them to move in, and you're becoming overwhelmed because you're like, okay, what I got to do next? What I got to do next? Okay, I'm almost done with this. I don't know where to go from here. Put it down for a minute. Pull back and give yourself time to come up with a plan of action. But don't continue to entertain thoughts over and over and over and over again without ever entertaining what the plan of action should be to address that thought. That's all I'm saying. Hey, listen, thank you guys so much for your time today. I hope that I said something to enlighten you or encourage you to help you deal with some of the anxieties that we're facing here. All of us are facing them in some form or fashion in our life. It may not be the same, but I promise you it feels probably the same across the board. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, the impact that it has on us individually is pretty great. And so I pray that I've said something to help you, giving you some tools that will help you to be able to address some of your anxiety and ease and calm some of the anxiety that you're having. Listen, I want to ask you guys to go and make a donation today. You all know how and where we give. If you don't, just reach out to me and I will give you that information, or reach out to whoever invited you, and I will. They'll be able to give you that information. But I want you guys to please do go and make your contributions today, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Whatever you're doing, make sure that you enjoy it. Be in the moment. Be in the moment. Make memories. Life happens fast. Yeah, life happens fast. Thank you so much, Tay. Thank you so much, Bishop. Yeah. So I will see you guys on next Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to hit like on this video before you log out if you haven't already. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and turn your notifications on. So as soon as we go live, you'll be able to know that we're going live. Listen, I love you all, and I bid you all blessings and Godspeed.